Alright, hi, I'm Christine McDonald from Rushing River Apiaries, and today I am moving an observation hive. So this has a nuc in it, and I'm going to transfer them into a 10-frame box. So this is the observation hive that I take to the farmer's market every week, and we try to time it. We don't put the same colony in here every week. We try to choose one that's ready to transition from a nuc box into a 10-frame box, so that its few hours in the observation hive is just kind of part of the transit. That way it's not the same hive being kind of stressed out by that process every week, and it doesn't seem to add too much stress. So in here there are 5 frames down in the bottom part. Those bees are all just in there to kind of help maintain a good temperature in the observation hive. And then there's one frame with the queen on it in the top here, where you can open it up and see them through the glass. Really popular to have at the market, but of course bees can't live in this. They would outgrow it very quickly. Plus they would start to build some wax on the glass and make a bit of a mess. So we just use this temporarily for the farmer's market. I'm going to move them into a 10-frame. So I also have a box with some drawn comb in it, and I'm going to kind of shuffle some of those in to give the queen room to lay, because we are having an incredible honey flow right now, and nests are getting plugged up. So this nuc, as I go through it, I'll kind of show you frame by frame what I'm seeing, but it was some little kid cupcake icing on my observation hive. This nuc, the first time I gave it a queen cell, it didn't take, but they built some emergency cells and raised those. So it had a bit of a prolonged period of queenlessness, which means that right now there is no capped brood yet, but a really beautiful pattern of eggs that this new queen has started laying. And when I loaded her up this morning, I gave her her red spot so that she would be really easy to see for the kids at market. So because I know the queen is on this last frame, I'm going to save her for last. So I'm going to go right into the bottom here, knowing that in the top I have one brood frame with the queen that I'm kind of leaving space in here for. So I've already got my bottom board in place, and my 10-frame box. Now we'll just kind of have a look and decide, oh, this is the ugly frame. So this one, I'm actually going to shake the bees off it, and I don't think I'm going to put it in here. I think I'll replace it since I have some extra frames, because look at all that wonky comb. So this frame was old, scraped down, and then instead of building directly on it, all that propolized stuff, the bees have built these interesting looking but pain in the butt little pieces. So we're gonna leave that one out unless we need it at the end. So this is a real nice brood frame, but the oldest brood that I'm seeing is like 5 days old, but just full from edge to edge, except for the little bits of honey that you can see in the corner, with eggs and small larvae. So that's gonna go near the middle to start to form the brood nest. I'm gonna kind of show you how I intentionally set up a colony for growth. So we want it to grow into this 10-frame for winter. Looking at this one, I don't see any eggs or larvae. All I see is nice honey stores on both sides. So that's going to be over toward the side. And I'm leaving some gaps because I am going to make a decision about how many empty drawn combs to shuffle in here. One more frame. Again, this is a honey frame. It will be my honey frame on the other side. That is hardly even drawn out, so we'll leave that as a side frame. Not the end of the world if they don't get to it, or if I come back on in my next inspection, I might shuffle it in closer to the middle as long as they have worked out to it. So I've only really got one good brood frame in here, plus this one. Now, if I was worried about, you know, I'm considering time of year as I do this too. If I was worried about it being cold, I wouldn't bump them into this 10 frame so quickly. What I'm more worried about right now is not chilling, but plugging the nest up with honey. So I want to get them in here because right now, everything is full. It's either full of brood or full of honey, and they need some blank frames to keep building into. So make sure the queen's not on there. Oh, there she is. Always want to make sure that she comes out of the observation hive and isn't stuck on the glass. So there she is with her beautiful new red dot. She's one of my raised queens from this year. And this is a mostly brood frame. It's got a nice little food rainbow on it, but lots of good brood. So I'm gonna leave these two brood frames, since there's only two, I'm gonna leave them tight together in the middle. And on either side of them, I'm going to put an empty drawn comb. That way the queen, whichever way she chooses to move, or both ways, she's gonna run into space to lay. Doesn't want to go down. What's going on? A little propolis buildup on the box. Okay. Now, on one side, and there's no hard or fast rules here. I'm just talking through my thought process to give you an idea of what I'm doing. On one side of this, I'm going to leave their food frame nice and tight. Stick another empty in there. But on the other side, I'm actually going to add a second empty drawn, so that she can really expand her nest out this way. And then they'll run into that food frame. And then I've got room for one more, and it's a blank. So again, in a week or two, if I come back and this has all filled up, then I'll shuffle one of those outer frames in and let them work on that. So basically the way I have set this up is I have their two brood frames in the middle. Then I have room for the queen to lay. So I have empty drawn comb, one on this side, two on this side. Then they run into their food frames. That's kind of like the boundaries of their nest area for now. Whatever's on the outside of these, there's one drawn comb and a couple blanks. They're not really going to get to it unless they start to fill it up with honey. But because I anticipate in a week or two that they're going to need even more room for brood, when I come back on my next inspection, I'll put one of these outer frames into the middle. Once they have a bit more of a workforce, I start to see some capped brood and emerging capped brood, so I know those young workers can build up the wax and get to work on it. But that's the way that I set up a nuc as I move it into a 5 frame, kind of during a period of growth where I'm still expecting them to grow into the box in preparation for winter. There's always a few stragglers left in the observation hive, and it's really hard to shake out, especially that glass part. So all I do is leave it leaned up in front of the hive for a few hours, and then I'll come back this evening and pick that up. Stick their lid on here. I didn't need to use this ugly frame, so that'll get scraped down better, but first we'll let everybody walk up off it. And voila! If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any of my videos as I make a real effort to show up more and more on YouTube. Thanks for watching.